The pardon covers any potential federal crimes that Hunter Biden committed from January 1, 2014 through December 1, 2024. Gosh, I wonder how they came up with those dates. So one thing I have always believed in is this particular statement. Once a liar, always a liar. So what am I referencing? As you can see on the screen, Joe Biden pardoned his son, Hunter, who was facing 25 years in prison after being convicted of multiple felonies related to a firearm purchase where he made some incorrect or false statements on the application, Now, what did they not convict him for is a more interesting question. And when you think about unconditional pardon, which I am sure gives him indemnity over any of the things that he did, you got to ask yourself, I wonder if the reason why he's actually pardoning him has more to do with no one prosecuting him. And just to preview what's coming up later in the video, this is a list of some of the crimes that were known to have been committed by Hunter Biden on the international stage. And I think you're going to find it very interesting when the dates of these incidents were in relation to what the pardon covers that Joe Biden just issued to his son. Because when I say absolutely directly one-to-one, that is exactly what we are looking at. Let's just look at the things that Hunter Biden did not get prosecuted for, and then think about how Joe Biden might get brought into those things in a future state, right? Because they definitely did not weaponize the justice system against the big guy who he just ran against. And it's funny, I always call our current president the big guy because when you say his name in videos, it puts it in this other category, and YouTube will not show it to anyone who is not actively subscribed to my channel. Speaking of which, you should subscribe to my channel if you have not done that yet, because you will not see my stuff otherwise. Like we're not talking about it doesn't make it easier to find. They won't show it to you if you are not subscribed when I cover certain topics. So if you like the look of my jib, aside from this stupid hair that I wore to the movie Wicked with my children with a hat on, and now I'm looking at it and I look like Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber. But if you like listening to me talk, you should definitely subscribe to the channel. How did I segue into this again? Oh, that's right. Calling him the big guy, the one that Joe just ran against, because the big guy is how we know that Joe Biden was involved in some international corruption schemes that Hunter would be the key to if they did want to prosecute Joe Biden. Wouldn't that be hilarious to bring Hunter Biden in on those particular cases? The Burisma one, which we'll talk about in a second, the one in China, which we'll also talk about in a second, and then the text messages where he says, I have to give 50% of my money to the big guy. Oh, or in the business logs, right? Where 10% to the big guy. I wonder who they were referencing when they were saying the big guy gets 10%. Who could that have been? It is unbelievable to me that this is how he goes. It's not unbelievable. It's actually completely predictable. We live in a world now where we have literally just overthrown the current government. That's what this is. I was talking about this with my wife earlier today because I was listening to Tulsi Gabbard talk on a podcast about who actually runs the government, or who ran the government up until, well, I guess for the next week or two, they still do. And I realized what we just did this is actual revolution. That's what really happened here. When you start looking at these appointments, this is a revolution. That's what this really is. Now, I don't know if any of us really, had a firm grasp on the fact that really was on the line, but it was, as it turns out. And it's a great timeline. Andreessen said on Joe Rogan the other day that we live in a timeline that you want to live in, because there's another timeline where that bullet that is aimed at the big guy that hit him in the ear hits him in the head. And that timeline is an absolute nightmare that would be very different than now. And that's a fact. I mean, that's just a fact. That is, he called it the bad place. And I was like, man, and it tripped me out to even think about, because I'm so hopeful about the future. But again, when you look at this action being one of the last things that's going to happen for Joe, it's just unbelievable. I mean, he looked directly into the camera how many times and said, I will not get involved in this case with my son, and I definitely will not use my powers as the president to pardon my son. It's like, all right, but of course, that was a lie, because they have no problem lying to the American people. That's the whole thing. That's why you guys got to go, man. But let's take a look at the story itself, and then we'll talk more about the crimes that these guys are almost certainly looking to indemnify themselves from. So, all right. Now, President Joe Biden announced Sunday that he has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, who faces sentencing this month on a gun crime and tax convictions, marking a reversal as he prepares to leave office. So you're saying that they investigated how he got money that you didn't pay taxes on, and there are no further charges than just the avoidance of paying tax? Like, no, there's nothing criminal about him taking money from Burisma or taking all this money from all these international sources. I feel as though Paul Manafort might have gone to jail and gotten stripped of all his money for that. Am I imagining that? And where was he again? So Paul Manafort came from, where was it again? Oh, Ukraine? Was it Ukraine? Hang on. Paul Manafort came from Ukraine, where he was helping the old Russia side president to be a little bit more hip and, here's how you campaign. Then he came over and he helped the big guy get into office in 2016. And they're like, you, sir, are a criminal. You bought too many things. You have too much money because you took money from over there. It's like, did Hunter Biden do that? They're all, what? What'd you say? Did Hunter Biden do that? They're all, I don't know. We are going to prosecute him for tax evasion to make it look like we are actually doing something here. But what we're actually doing is intentionally avoiding this because it would expose that one of our puppets is corrupt, as you would imagine. Well, you're cool with them being corrupt? Listen, okay. Listen, we're billionaires, all right? We put these little puppet guys in there. We expect them to do their little small-time crimes and bring in $10 million extra a year. Do you know how much money $10 million is to us? Nothing, So we expect this from them, and we protect them. Take your little 10 million, and then we'll make sure that we stay in foreign wars, and we also never have any kind of regulation that's going to change what we have in our food or in the pharmaceutical companies, what they put in our bodies and recommend, or any scientific grants or anything like that. Just don't worry about it, okay? Get him on the tax evasion, Joe. Tell him you're not going to give him a pardon, and then just definitely pardon him on the way out, because why would you not? So anyway, today I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. The president said in a statement, it is a full and unconditional pardon. According to a copy of the executive grant of clemency, a full and unconditional pardon. So that is going to give him immunity over every single thing that he's done up until now in his life, I would imagine. This official grant of clemency cannot be rescinded by President-elect Donald Trump. By pardoning his son, Joe Biden has reneged on a public promise that he made repeatedly before and after dropping out of the 2024 presidential race. The president and his top White House spokesperson have said unequivocally, including after Trump won the 2024 election, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden or commute his sentence. Wow. That's interesting. I guess once he had no use to them anymore, they're all, who cares if you lied? Okay, you have no use to us. So you want to pardon your son, pardon your son. Now, let me just make perfectly clear, okay? If I'm Joe Biden, I'm pardoning my son 100%. Let me just put that on the table, okay? Absolutely, for 100%, I would pardon him. And I'm going to also be honest with you. In the event that I was the president while he was being investigated, I probably would have just pardoned him there, and I would have gone on national television, and I would have looked him straight in the face and be like, he's my son, okay? He's my son. Now, if he committed murder or something like that, but like a tax thing, listen, I'm not saying I would have been involved in any of these schemes, but if you're talking about like some kind of tax thing, I'd make him pay all the taxes that he owed back, right? And then I would just be like, look, dude, I think personally, I'm looking for someone who shows some humanity up there, and a person who would not leverage their power to protect their son. I think that person's a fucking weirdo. You know what I mean? But that's just me. So, I mean, you can tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong. Pretend it's your son. I'm not talking about Hunter Biden. Obviously, I want Hunter Biden to pay for what he did. I'm just saying, if it's your own son, you're going to pardon him, right? Right? Now, if my son was a crack addict, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't actually know what I would do. If my son was a grown-up crack addict who spent $1 million on prostitutes, maybe not so much. I don't know, dude. Generally, I like to protect my family. Anyway, so the pardon means Hunter Biden won't be sentenced for his crimes, and it eliminates any chance of his being sent to prison, which was a possibility. Once the judge overseeing his cases are notified of the pardon, they'll likely cancel the sentencing hearings, which were slated for December 12th. In the gun case, the pardon covers any potential federal crimes that Hunter committed from January 1, 2014 through December 1, 2024. There it is, you guys. Now, as promised, let's go through the dates of some of these incidents that we all know about Hunter Biden being involved in. Hang on, Jesse, what's your source on this? Oh, that is the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. So the House Oversight Committee. That is where I'm getting this from. So the government absolutely knows about all of this stuff, and no one did anything about it. And now he is given blanket immunity related to it because they're obviously not going to get Joe Biden if they can't do it through Hunter Biden. So that's interesting. Let's take a look. Let's start at the beginning, which, oh my gosh, shocker. The earliest one is February 14th, 2014. Wait, what did they say? When did the pardon start? Oh, January 1, 2014. I'm sure that's a coincidence. So January 1st, 2014 is from there. He has total immunity. And here we go. On February 14th, 2014, a Russian oligarch and Russia's richest woman, Yelena Baturina, wired a Rosemont Seneca entity $3.5 million. On March 11th, 2014, the wire was split up. $750,000 was transferred to Devon Archer, and the remainder was sent to Rosemont Seneca Bohai, a company Devon Archer and Hunter Biden split equally. In spring of 2014, Baturina joined Hunter Biden and Devon Archer to share a meal with then Vice President Joe Biden in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. The total amount from Russia to the Biden family and their associates is $3.5 million. So again, they're all, well, let's at least give it like a 30-day buffer because maybe they like actually talk. So literally the pardon starts right when they started taking money from Russia. Okay. Now listen to this. Ukraine. Devon Archer joined the Burisma board of directors in spring of 2014 and was joined by Hunter Biden shortly thereafter. Wait, so he has immunity on that? Wait, wasn't Devon Archer the guy who came forward and was willing to testify against the Bidens? Right, he is. And mainstream media said he's a liar. Hunter Biden's 50-50 business partner. And he definitely said that a lot of that money, I think he said 10 or 20% was going to the big guy, which is Joe Biden, obviously. Hunter Biden joined the company as counsel, but after a meeting with Burisma owner Mykola Zlochevsky of Lake Como, Italy, was elevated to the board of directors in spring of 2014. Both Biden and Archer were each paid $1 million per year for their positions on the board of directors. Why is this ad right in the way? You know? It's really obnoxious. It's obstructing my view. All right. So Zalowski, Hunter Biden called D.C. in the wake of mounting pressure the company was facing. Zlochevsky was later charged with bribing Ukrainian officials with $6 million in an attempt to delay or drop the investigation of the company. The total amount from Ukraine to the Biden family was $6.5 million. Now, you guys may remember that's the guy, or that's the time when Joe Biden withheld the $1 billion loan guarantee to get them to drop the case because they paid him $6 million. And then Joe Biden's all, hey, listen, guy, listen here, son of a bitch. I'm in charge of this money. Ukraine is my land to deal with. So son of a bitch, he fired him the next day. Do you guys remember, what did they impeach the big guy? What did they impeach our big guy for? Was it something around, I feel like it was something having to do with threatening to withhold money, maybe to investigate Joe Biden. So Joe Biden withheld a loan guarantee to out of pure corruption to get them to fire a prosecutor who was looking into the corrupt energy company that's paying his son $1 million a year and his associate also $1 million a year. And then when our guy asked the Ukrainians to go ahead and find some proof of that stone corrupt interaction, Trump, he got no money. He just asked them to do it. That the other side that we just ousted from government said that he had corruptly tried to withhold tax dollars and they impeached him over it. So he just asked them to help him expose Joe, right? And they're like, well, we're actually going to impeach you instead. It's hilarious, dude. It's just like these kinds of incidents make this so glorious what's happening now. Because now you have no power, and that's because everybody was on to you, dude. You know, you could just pound the mainstream media. Of course, John Gilbert. Of course, Trump took all the money. No, he didn't. Your guy did. Kazakhstan on April 22nd, 2014, Rakishev, a Kazakhstani oligarch, used his Singaporean entity Novartis Holdings to wire one of Hunter Biden's Rosemont Seneca entities, $142,000. The next day, on April 23rd, 2014, all of this is right after he issues this pardon, dude. The Rosemont Seneca entity transferred the exact same amount of money to a car dealership for a car for Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden and Devin Archer would represent Burisma in Kazakhstan on May and June of 2014 as the company attempted to broker a three-way deal among Burisma, the Kazakhstan government, and a Chinese state-owned energy company. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Then this one, China Bohai Harvest RST Equity Investment Fund Management Co. More information will be provided in our forthcoming fourth bank memorandum. That was the 10 million, if I'm not mistaken. Then China, this is March 1, 2017, less than 2 months after Vice President Joe Biden left public office. State Energy HK Limited, a Chinese company, wired $3 million to the Biden Associates account. This is the same bank account used in the above Romania section. After the Chinese company wired the Biden account $3 million, the Biden family received approximately $1,065,692 over a 3-month period in different bank accounts. Additionally, the CEFC chairman gives Hunter Biden a diamond worth $80,000. Lastly, the CEFC creates a joint venture with the Bidens in the summer of 2017. Timeline lays out the WhatsApp messages and subsequent wires from the Chinese to the Bidens of $100,000 to $5 million. The total amount from China, specifically the CEFC, when their related entities to the Biden family and their associates, is over $8 million. Now, keep in mind, this is the House Oversight Committee. This is all the House Oversight Committee. Okay, number one, Romania. On September 28, 2015, Vice President Joe Biden welcomed Romanian President Klaus Iohannis to the White House. Within 5 weeks of this meeting, a Romanian businessman involved in a high-profile corruption prosecution in Romania, Gabriel Popoviciu, began depositing a Biden associate bank account, which ultimately made their way into the Biden's family accounts. He made 16 of the 17 payments totaling $3 million to the Biden associate family account while Joe Biden was vice president. Biden family accounts ultimately received approximately $1.038 million. The total amount from Romania to the Biden family is over $3 million. So what's the total here? 11 million, 17 and a half, and then so a little like $21 million. So $21 million that was, gotten in absolutely stone international corrupt deals, and they are immune to that. So let's just recap, right? Let's recap what Trump was charged with and convicted of, and then what these guys got away with and now have total immunity related to. So here's a list of the things that Trump dealt with while he was the former president before getting reelected in a landslide victory, and then being the figurehead of a total revolution, before all that. But here is what the Democrats brought against him: falsifying business records. Okay, you guys may remember that. So in that case, he was found guilty on all accounts, 34 felony counts, 34. And then walk me through that case again, Jesse. I would love to. Thank you for asking. Michael Cohen, his attorney, comes to him and says, listen, I know you slept with this lady, this lady over here, and she says she will not go public with it at all. Which lady? Stormy Daniels is her name. I do remember her. So she promises to not say anything to anyone, and she'll sign a non-disclosure for $100,000. Okay. That's fine, right? Oh, yeah, right? Now, I think people are under the impression that when you pay someone to sign a non-disclosure agreement when it has to do with some kind of sexual activity, that means it's illegal. That is not the case at all. The only way that it is illegal is if the thing that they are not allowed to talk about is illegal. Like in the case of Harvey Weinstein, the illegal part is not having someone sign an NDA. The illegal part is the part where you assaulted the person, okay? That's the illegal part. So consensually sleeping with a porn star, that's not illegal. So what he did is he greenlit Cohen to do it. Cohen is his attorney, so he relies on him to do things legal. There's nothing illegal about this. Why would he think that anything about this is illegal? And so Michael Cohen pays this $100,000 out of his own kick, and then he bills the Trump campaign for it, and then Trump campaign pays his invoice. And they said that it was falsifying business records because it's not a campaign cost and it was a personal cost or whatever. 34 felonies. 34 felonies. And how is that not a campaign cost? Why would he care about her going public if he wasn't running for president? Okay. You can say, oh, well, because of Melania. No, it's because he's running for president. Right? That's why that story would have had value. That's the only reason it would have had value at the time. Okay? So Michael Cohen, his attorney told him it's legal to do it this way. He just pays the bill, 34 felonies. Okay, cool. Mishandling of national security, 40 charges. And that was the Jack Smith one, the former special prosecutor who was on that. And if I remember correctly, Joe Biden actually had done the exact same thing, which, was a case of having to do with classified documents that were taken offsite or something. And in Mar-a-Lago, they actually brought a bunch of pages and stamped them top secret that had nothing. This was not the stuff that they took out of Mar-a-Lago, and they just put them there, took photo ops of them, and then sent them around to the media because that was totally legit. Definitely not a deep state plot, okay? Attempting to overturn the 2020 U.S. election, which I think now, that was another Jack Smith one. I think now we can safely say, I think he was legally challenging the 2020 election because it seems as though there are some kind of discrepancies related to the numbers, Like I have actually heard many Democrats now like, did we actually really steal it? It's like, yes, you did. You see that 15 million additional votes you got just in that election that somehow were not there in any of the elections before or the one after. You know that? Mail-in voting, like how there were reports of like trucks full of ballots in all these swing states, that? Like, so Trump challenges the legality of that election, and that's what you guys did. You charged him with attempting to overturn the election, dismissed, 5 minutes ago once Trump won. And then racketeering in Georgia, right? This was the Fani Willis one, who actually herself got exposed as having been stone corrupt, stealing from the citizens of Georgia. And then, of course, right, in an all-black run state, she gets up in front of like these black churches and says that she's being prosecuted by the white man because they hate to see a strong black woman succeed. You are a thief and a liar, and you have falsely accused the Trump administration of what, what I mean? It's like, get out of here. But then on the flip side, everything that we covered having to do with the Biden crime family, that's fine because now they have blanket immunity, and not to mention they weren't going to get prosecuted anyway. Well, maybe they would have actually with the new DOJ, right? But I don't think that would have been smart either, because I don't like the world where people prosecute their political opponents, right? That's why I had a serious problem with it when it was the big guy. It's like, look, dude, right? I mean, now, in the case of the Bidens, I can see a much better case for it, doing those deals with these international companies that you're potentially selling out the United States. I mean, like, if anybody's going to get, like, you're ever talking about sedition with our big guy, it's like, give me a break, dude. You guys are doing backdoor deals in Ukraine and China and all that, like the most important like flashpoints on the international stage. And you guys are just like, oh, it's fine, dude. And you got the House Oversight Committee has you dead to rights on it, and nothing happens there. But then Trump gets 34 felonies charged, convicted of it. Not to mention, E. Jean Carroll was meant to destroy him financially. They're going to take Trump Tower. They're going to take Mar-a-Lago. Every single thing that they tried to do to him blew up in their face. Because I'm serious, honest to God, I have not been a what's the right word, organized religion person. But when I really think back over how all of this played out, and then what this outcome is, and what would have happened if it would have gone the other way, if that bullet would have hit him, it makes me a believer. Honestly, this is the first time I'm saying this out loud. But when I really think this through, it's like a combination of a bunch of things that have happened that have like now all hit my brain at the same time right now, where in this alternate timeline, if he gets killed, what this actually looks like. And it's a hellscape, nightmarish hellscape. And all of these things, every time they tried to strike down on him, it blew up in their face and he got stronger. Like he was being carried. You know what I mean? Like he was being carried by something. Like there was a higher power protecting him. Because all of these things just got all the ways that these things lined up, that where not only did these things not work, but every time they actually helped the big guy. And he now is going to be, in my opinion, probably the most positive and transformative president in the history of this country. I really believe that. Because we were in the midst of a nightmare. They were going to clamp on us. They were going to increase the censorship. They were like, it was going to go back to the path that we were on in 2021, except now they were going to lock it down real tight, you know? Anyway, that's what we got. Love you guys.